What's up, boys? It's Feeds again, back with another video, and today we have some good news. And that news is, drumroll please, drumroll please. We have Faction Wars. And the reason why this is a big deal, more than anything else, and we'll get into the specifics in just a second, is that for a lot of people, especially the people who've hit 60, who have done the majority of the challenges, gotten their Arbiter unlocked, all those things, had mentioned on Reddit, Discords, etc., they were kind of touching on burnout phase because there just wasn't anything new to do aside from new clan boss. Obviously, get some of the new heroes, which are kind of questionable. Vale was super subject to the things that were going on, so on and so forth. And so what they've done is basically kind of put a new breath of life into the veteran players, as well as some new opportunities for some newer players, content creators, to kind of get involved and get their teeth into it. So we'll talk about the update news. It's a good and bad thing that they don't tell us when they're going to release these updates. They just give us kind of roundabout times. The reason why it's good, more than anything else, is because, of course, it keeps the surprise there. It's like Christmas. You wake up in the morning to collect your clan boss reward, and you got an update for your game, and it's just so good. And then on the other side of that is that you don't know what to expect ever, which makes it really hard to stay crystallized for it. But that's nitpicking more than anything else. So we're going to talk about the positives in this video, and we'll save maybe the negatives for a stream or something like that. So to kind of jump into it, Faction Wars, as they describe it, Faction Wars pits factions against faction in a fight for honor and glory. Each faction has their own crypt, and champions can only enter crypts belonging to their own faction. You will need to build teams of champions from each faction, take back control of the crypts. Each crypt has 21 stages to beat, but it won't be easy. On stage 7, 14, 21, you will also need to face some of the toughest bosses in Plarium, the Crypt Keepers. Crypts open and close at 000 UTC every day, with each crypt opening for 24 hours at a time, similar to the towers. Each crypt will only be open for 1 day within 6-day period. Beat crypt stages to earn special items. Glyphs. This is the really good part. We've added faction crypt specific aura skills. Find the list champions on our forum. Glyphs. Glyphs are special items found in faction crypts that are used to enchant artifacts and accessories. Glyphs let you improve the artifact substats and increase the substats value even after the artifact has been fully upgraded. Each glyph is able to upgrade one substat, either HP, HP percent, attack percent, defense percent, speed, resistance, or accuracy. No crit, unfortunately. Glyphs can be used to enchant any substat or any artifact or accessory so long as the following requirements are met. The artifact or accessory must have a substat that matches the glyph you want to use. The artifact or accessory must be the same rank as the glyph or higher. You cannot enchant an artifact with a glyph of a higher rank. New debuffs, Fear and True Fear. This is actually in one of the new bosses that you fight in the Faction Wars. Fear. When a champion with this debuff attempts to use a skill, there's a 50% chance that the skill will not activate and the champion will lose their turn. True Fear. This is the superior version of Fear. It works the same, but when a champion fails to use a skill, the skill will be put on cooldown as if it activated successfully. General mechanics. Fear debuffs affect both the default skills and active skills, but will not affect passives. If triggered, will apply normally without 50% chance to fail. There are a few situations in which Fear debuffs can affect skills. You use a skill on their own turn. If a champion uses their default skill or an active skill, there's a 50% chance the attack will fail and the turn will be lost. And then there's a whole list of talking about how they're affected with masteries, etc., etc., etc. Or because it's going to be a relatively long video, we're going to kind of skip over that stuff. They did have new game update rewards, which they passed out to us. They give us tokens plus the energy refill. New artifact upgrade options, which they changed the UI and the API a little bit on how it works and operates, and we'll go over that. Sorting by faction has been added to the champion collections and tavern. Can we say that again? Sorting by faction has been added to the champion collection and tavern. This is a big deal. This update's big for a lot of different reasons. And kind of mentioning the things that we have already is that they have touched on so many things that the community was so vocal about. Different sorting options, faction wars, glyphs, the ability to kind of enhance your characters further than what they were. This is a massive deal. And I'm not going to say this is a turning point for Plarium, because obviously they still have some motivations on how they do things, i.e. your whales, dolphins, etc. Kind of how this game works and operates off of resource cost. All those things obviously have some relatively negative connotations to when you talk about them, but overall, this is a massive deal. The developers are responding to us not only by giving us or talking to us about these different things, but they're actually putting it in game and showing that they're listening to a degree that comes to it. Obviously, there's caveats that come with everything, and so far, just the experience from playing it today, I've had a lot of positive experience as far as what they've given us in return for what we've asked for in regards to that. Obviously, when the dust is settled, a lot of people still may not be happy because of other issues with the game, but ultimately, this is a step in a really good right direction when it comes to it. They've had some game experience enhancements, which we'll go over. They fixed a bug of multi-battle algorithm that prevented artifacts from being sold, even if they fit the auto-sell requirements. This is if your inventory is full, things like that. They fixed several bugs that affected the arena battle log. Fixed the bug that prevented event rewards from being claimed if you hit the required milestone exactly. For example, earn 1,000 points out of 1,000. Fixed masteries that incorrectly affected debuffs applied by artifacts. Fixed the bug with the team power in the arena defense. Fixed how the weakened debuff is displayed in the info pop-up during battle. Fixed the bug that prevented Skull Crown's resilience skill from triggering when she took reflected damage. Fixed numerous minor bugs with it. So I was going to make a video talking specifically about the really dumb arena events or the tournaments that they put out there. And overall, I was kind of waiting to see, if they had released anything, because they do a pretty good job of releasing information for us. And to be honest, this update makes it all better. I know it's crazy to say that I'm forgiving them 100%, but because of this update, it's given me kind of a new opportunity to kind of play the game and explore some different options to it. And this also means that we're going to have a lot more opportunity to experiment with different builds. And the reason why I say that is because when we go to Faction Wars, you're obligated to play with that faction. So, for instance, currently, what's open and available is Lizardman and your Knight's Revenant. So, just to give you an idea, I already used all my tokens for my Lizardman to build my team. But just to give you perspective, I can't obviously show you the team that I built with it. But on my Knight's Revenant, I had saved some just to show you. So, before we get into the teams, let me go over the rewards part, because this is probably the coolest part. So, they talk about the cleared sages, similar to your campaign battles, except it's reversed now. Instead of having fewer champions, you need more champions. You need 5 champions without losing a champion in order to get 3 stars for each thing now. And as you can see, the rewards are numerous. So this is from the 5 to 120. This is your 130 to 335. As you can see, there's shards available, chickens, books. You have more void shards, legendary tomes, which we asked for. More legendary tomes, which we asked for, void shards, chickens, and sacred shards. But here's the best part. We get more sacred shards, more legendary tomes. So this is actually really cool. And as you can see, we get 5-star chickens too. And I know that kind of touches on a lot of different things, but as a community over the last year, there's been a lot of complaints, concerns, questions about what we can do, how can we minimize having to spend more money on the game, and take advantage of the resources that we have to help us earn better in those regards. And this is effectively that answer to that question. Not only did they give us a new campaign, but they gave us a lot of different opportunities to play with different stuff, and they did it in a relatively timely manner too, which comes to hopefully after this is out for a while, they'll give us an opportunity to maybe spend gems or silver or other resources to maybe unlock other stuff if we really want to focus on those things and practice those teams. But as it sits, this is actually a really good program. So the way it works is they give you tokens. I don't know if the tokens ever increase, or if you're just obligated to 12 for every keep that you do, or for crypt, I guess is what they call it. But as you can see, you get 12 tokens, and you go and battle through. And as I mentioned before, they have different bosses. You have your different glyph drops with a variety of different things that go on them. Resist, accuracy, speed, defense percent, attack percent, HP percent that goes on to it. And then, of course, at the end of year 21, you get another legendary book. So assuming that it's all the same with all the factions that are available, there's a lot of opportunities to get legendary skill books out of this. This is really important because as you collect more heroes, you're bound to get more legendaries that come with it, which means you have a lot more opportunity that comes with it. As you can see, there's a slew. They have the times listed when they're going to come out, so you can plan ahead of time what to expect, and then you know what days they're going to be open, as in addition to the 4 hidden factions that they haven't released for use yet so far. So we'll jump right into it. We'll touch in. I'll show you kind of one of the battles. I'm just going to do an auto battle to give you an idea of what to expect. Just so you know, my Knight's Revenant team is not built up or geared. I just kind of threw them into the fray. As you can see, they're not maxed out. None of them are barely ascended, and my Sinesha is not really she's not built properly because she was kind of my trial build. So I'll just show you kind of how it autos. It plays similar to a campaign. You'll have 3 sets of waves that you have to clear through, varying in their affinities. So you'll fight everything from Void, Magic, Force, and of course Spirit. when it comes to it. And then more than anything else, there'll be a variety of different stuff too. But you're competing against, for instance, in this case, we're going to speed that up and we're going to auto. In this case, as you can see, we're fighting against Sacred Order that comes to it. So knowing what type of character you're fighting against, like a War Priest or an Aethel or something of that nature, gives you a better idea of how to kind of plan your team ahead too, which is really cool. So there's a lot of complexity that's been added to this game just in regards on how to build your characters. There's been a lot of complexity on how to build teams, and what this does is it takes away from the meta, if you will, on how people do clan boss, on how they do campaigns, how they do arenas, etc., because you can't stack those same types of teams and combos. So basically you're forced to build out of those teams or those crypts in order to make it, or the factions I should say, to make it better for you, which is really good. This adds a lot more degree of conversation on how to build properly. It gives a lot more opportunity to shine some light on new characters or underdeveloped characters or characters that haven't really used that much, and it gives you an opportunity to make new teams that you could potentially take into other areas like arenas or into clan boss or things of that nature, and maybe see kind of what works best. So this is a really good thing for the game. It opens up a lot. As you can see, we're clearing through it. Hopefully I don't die here. Obviously he's got the immune damage. Still chunking. Not a big deal. Obviously they're lower levels, so they don't do too much. And you still get XP from this as well, in addition to doing some other things that comes with it. So overall, gives you kind of an idea of how it works as far as Faction Wars. You're guaranteed to get a glyph, I think, every time, which makes it pretty cool. And then, of course, as you can see, it's not a whole lot of XP that comes to it. You can edit your team replay, going on and so forth when it comes to it, which makes it pretty viable. So what we'll do... is we'll look at the glyphs now, just to show you real quick. I want to try and keep this video as short as possible because there's so much to talk about when it comes to it. So as you can see, I collect my reward for it. I get energy from it when it comes to it. So it's actually pretty cool in that regard when you're looking at those things. So we'll talk about first the sorting option. You can sort by affinity. You can recently used first, and then of course by faction. Just to give you an idea, that's faction. Recently used first. These are people that you typically use or that you're leveling, which makes it convenient if you just use them to level and you wanted to boost them up or rank them up. By affinity, which makes it convenient, and then of course by level when it comes to it. So a lot of different opportunities that kind of go into it as far as the customization. They've increased a lot of those chances to go with it, which makes it good overall. This is, again, another good component that we've asked for so much time, and they're finally giving it to us in that regard. These are actually quality of life things, I think, that will make the game last a much longer when you're looking at those things into regards to it. So they've changed the tab a little bit. You can see your armor, or your armor and weapons, your jewelry, and, of course, your glyphs. So the way it works is if I were to select an item, what I would do is I would select it, I would click upgrade, and they've changed how it looks as far as the stats go, and then I would click upgrade as well if I had to, or enchant over here, and then of course I can enchant my defense. You can see it'll give me 1-to-1, potentially 1 or 1% chance, so there's not a variation there because it's just a rank 1 thing. And then of course I would do that to enchant it and giving my stuff. I haven't tested it because I've been really conservative with my glyphs. I wanted to see how much you could stack on them, or if there was a limitation how much you could stack on them. Ultimately, if there's not a cap, this means you would have a massive power creep. But it would mean that future challenges would actually be pretty good, and I could foresee that if they didn't cap it, or maybe if they capped it at like 5 or 10, you have a lot of opportunity there. But since you can't affect things like crit rate or some of the other attack power stats and just pure attack power and attack percent, then there's not going to be a massive difference. It'll just help in a little bit and a lot of bit differences, especially if you're doing HP heroes, HP percent heroes, like Lugan, where if you were able to get 150,000 HP, you could effectively do a ton of damage and be an AoE healer, which would give you a different offset for some of the teams out there that comes to it. So this is really cool. So I just want to show you real quick, the last thing that I want to talk about was the customization of the upgrade tab now. So now you have different sets too where you can upgrade to level 16. You can select the different levels for 8, 12, and 16, which comes to it, or you can do just upgrade one level, and of course it'll still do the auto, but there's no limitation to how much it'll do it now until you run out of silver, until it upgrades, which makes it super convenient. This is for people who maybe have a ton of silver that they want to blow through and they just want to go AFK while it's doing it. This gives them a lot of opportunity to as well to decide what they want to do with it. So as you can see, And it goes a lot faster now. There's not that lag in deciding it, so you can kind of figure out quickly instead of waiting for it to decide if it's going to do it and then wait and do it. Then it just automatically does it. So they've done a lot of stuff to make it graphically better, make it graphically run smoother, and of course go faster too, which is super convenient, especially during events where you're having to upgrade so many artifacts to try and make it work in regards to do stuff like that. So boys, that'll be it. I'll do some more in-depth stuff specifically about some of the components that came out in this patch today. I just wanted to talk about all those components just up front so you guys had an idea what's going on, and just give you an idea that there will be a lot of new videos coming out from me specifically to talk about different build teams, talk about specifically on the components of Faction Wars, and maybe how to best optimize your stats and usage for them. And then of course there's going to be a glyph building guide that comes out too. So there's a lot of content that'll be coming out for you boys, but that'll be it for today. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and feel free to leave a comment below. If you guys like the video, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. And if you guys liked it enough to follow, go ahead and subscribe and watch for all my future videos to come out. Aside from that, guys, you stay classy and keep summoning.
Run. It's going to be a left click. It's going to be a left click.